So agrarian theology was not at all taught in the seminaries. Instead, we studied Mariology, Christology, ecclesiology, canon law, moral theology, etc., etc. But as a priest, I am 38 years a priest now. So most of the times I serve only agricultural communities in the parishes. When they came to me seeking God's help, asking me, what can we do when there are no rains, when there is a crop failure, when there is drought? So what can we do, Father? Please, can you help us? And the people, those who are in trouble, farmers asked me, what does God would say during this kind of situations when there is a crop failure, drought? What would God say to the farmer? Then I blink. I am lost. Because I was not taught what to say to the farmer who seeks God's help during his own crisis. So I am with another 4 lakhs of priests around the world who don't know what to say to the farmers, those who come for help, those who seek God's help. So this is the reality. Can I tell them about Mariology in this situation, Christology, moral theology, canon law, ecclesiology? What good these subjects for them? What good? This is a sad situation in today's seminaries. We learn so many things which we can't put to use later on in our parish life. Agrarian theology must have been taught in the seminaries. 75% of the world population is engaged in agriculture. But is there a theology for them? What does God would say to them about agriculture? Nothing has been taught. Even today, seminary curriculum, they don't even investigate this agricultural crisis. There is a big crisis going on in agriculture. So I appreciate your Dean, Father Bosco, for understanding this crisis, and so he encouraged me to teach agrarian theology as part of environmental ethics, because environmental ethics is it's a mainstream philosophical course or theological course, but agrarian theology is not yet. So that's why we are teaching agrarian theology as part of environmental ethics. My effort in the future, I want to make this discipline as a mainstream theological course. Should be taught to all the seminarians. Agrarian theology is the first theological course you should learn, because today Pope Francis is talking lot of agricultural writings. He is writing lot of agricultural quotes in Laudato Si, encouraging us to start a remarkable agrarian theology. So I appeal to Salesian theologians like you, youngsters, to help me to create an agrarian theology subject which could be taught in the seminaries, so our future priests can go to their parishes and serve the farmers better. You know, why should we teach agrarian theology in the theological course? You know, in theology, the main element is that God is telling humans what to do on different subjects. Theology is nothing but God is talking to us how to think, how to talk, and how to act. When God says, people will listen in faith. When humans, politics and religious leaders, philosophers, if they say, it doesn't carry that amount of weight, intensity. But when God says, people listen. So that is what theology is all about. You can convince people through theology. Look at here. You can do negative impact and also positive impact. So theology can cause good and bad. If your theology is bad, you are going to cause damage, destruction. That is what happened in the 11th century crusades. Pope was talking about theology that encouraged people to go and fight in the Holy Land with Muslims, crusades. There were about 7 crusades Christianity fought with Islam. It was a bad theology. It was a bad theology. The second one, what you see, recent one, September 11th, 2001, Osama bin Laden talked theology to those 19 terrorists. Osama bin Laden, as a human being, could not have convinced those 19 terrorists to hijack those 4 airplanes and go and hit those buildings. He could not have convinced on his own. But he told, God is telling. God wants that. So he made a theology. So in other words, theology convinced the 19 terrorists to go and lead those planes, jets, into the buildings. In the good note, Mahatma Gandhi was a believer in God. He talked, even when he died, he said, Hey Ram, Hey Ram. He was a very spiritual man. Actually, that is 2 principles like ahimsa and truthfulness, satyagraha, that is soul force, is based on theology. Theology. God is truthful. Okay, let humans also be truthful. God is non-violent. He is full of compassion and empathy. So let us do the same thing. So that is how he could influence millions of Indians to go for independent struggle based on satyagraha, truthfulness and ahimsa. And Martin Luther King Jr. is an American civil rights reformer. He is not Martin Luther King of the 16th century who started Protestantism. No, he is different. Martin Luther King Jr. He is a Native American, he is a black man. So he was a pastor, Protestant pastor. So he developed theology to convince the black people to go for to go for a movement that brought equal rights for the black people in America. So he succeeded. His success could be really seen when Obama became the president of America, a black man. So Martin Luther King started in 1960s. Within 40-50 years, Obama, the black man, became the president of America. That is the outcome of theology. Pope Francis is also writing in Laudato Si. So we can make a theology for agriculture. So far, we never thought about it. But in Laudato Si, at least there are 30 references Pope Francis is giving to us so that we can make a positive and benign theology for the poor farmers, those who seek God's help during crisis. So what is agrarian theology? It's all about? It's about food security. Food security. That's why I gave title Agrarian Theology, the Golden Age of Food Security. Yes. See, the Bible talking about one of the early commandments, if you eat its fruit, you are sure to die. God is talking to the first humans in Genesis 2:17. He is telling, you can use all the resources, you can eat everything in the garden, but only one tree in the middle of the garden, don't eat it. If you eat its fruit, you are sure to die. So everything started, all problems started in the mouth. Words and eating. Words come out, the food goes in. It is two-way. What we spit in words, trouble comes. Lot of trouble is there. What we put inside the body is also trouble. It has led us all the way to the level of sin. What we put inside became a sin. That important, the food security, agrarian theology. The second reference, John chapter 6:5. Where can we buy bread for these people to eat? Jesus Christ, before the multiplication of the loaves, he is seeing 5,000 people there. They have only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. So Jesus is asking, where can we buy bread for these people to eat? In other words, he was talking about food security. There is no enough food. Food is not secured enough. So now he's asking, how can I feed them? And also, before he is going to heaven, he is recommending this: feed my sheep. That is the commandment he is giving to Peter. Feed my sheep. It's not only humans, it includes animals and plants. Feed whole of creation. Yes. See, it's a big challenge. That is why agrarian theology stands out in today's background, in today's world, in today's situation, agrarian theology is a must. It's a must. And Food and Agricultural Organization resources, that is the United Nations. It's called FAO, United Nations Food and Agriculture Organizations. Its Latin motto is Fiat Panis. That is the motto. If you go to Rome, in Rome you have the headquarters of Food and Agriculture Organization. So there you read this motto, Fiat Panis. Translates as, let there be bread. Let there be bread for 8 billion people. Yeah. As we practice agrarian theology, and also as we move towards the golden age of food security, we need to respect those 3 vital relationships. We should not hurt any one of them. That is how we produce food. As we produce food, relationship with God, relationship with the neighbor, relationship with the whole of creation should be maintained. Because agrarian theology comes directly with the whole of creation. Whole of creation. Soil, water, air, life. Agrarian theology puts in line with the abiotic and biotic world. Yes, biotic world. And also with humans. We produce humans and we produce other creatures also, at the same time respecting God's laws of nature. How to farm? Framing the 3 vital relationships. Agriculture is at the very heart of rural vitality and human survival. God was the first agriculturalist. He was the first farmer. He planted a garden eastward in Eden. Agriculture means literally field cultivation. But the word cultivation implies tending as commissioned by the Creator Himself, with an attitude of worship towards Him and of worth towards His creation. Agriculture connects humans to the earth or creation and its care, and to the Creator as provider and sustainer of all things. It must also connect humans to each other as we share the resources for production and the fruits produced equitably now and intergenerationally for the future. My subject next 2 days will be focused on 2 phases. First phase, I discuss about the age of agricultural revolutions. So the first, I give you agriculture is a human vocation by default, and I'm introducing one man called Washington Carver. He is our role model how to develop agrarian theology. Tell me then, Creator, what the peanut was made for. That is what Washington Carver from America, a spiritual farmer, is asking. The third is a shift from sustenance to business agriculture. Agriculture was given for sustenance, but later it became business. So that is what I mean. From sustenance agriculture to business agriculture. Agriculture, the most endangered. Today nobody wants to do it. At the same time, more dangerous profession, because 75% to 80% of the farmers, and if they think negatively without theology, they are going to destroy the soil, water, air, all life on earth. So I think next to transportation, agriculture sector destroys Panjabhutas. So farmer is not a little saint as you think. He is destroying the abiotic and the biotic parts of nature. So a farmer is a serious threat if you don't provide agrarian theology. Every farmer is like a Osama bin Laden. Every farmer is a terrorist if you don't give him agrarian theology. It's going to end up very bad, very bad. Christian religious rationale or agrarian theology, that means we need to create it so that farmer can refer to that formulation in times of happiness, at the same in times of sad. When he is sad, depressed, he can use agrarian theology. Agricultural lessons from the first farmer. Who is the first farmer? God is the first farmer. He is going to teach you how to do agriculture. The last one is sabbatical rest to the land, worker, and the animals. You give rest to the abiotic and the biotic parts of creation. This is the second phase we are going to discuss, the golden age of food security. Agrarian theology based on adaptation. We need to adapt because there are a lot of problems in the agricultural sector. Problems, they have another word called limiting factors. Limiting factors. Limiting factors means obstacles to life. No food, no water, no air, they are known as the limiting factors. So now what you should do? There are only two options. You perish, you give up, or you adapt. Only two options. You perish or you adapt. So as humans, we need to adapt. Otherwise we can't survive. So with all the problems we find in agriculture, the limiting factors, we need to adapt to a more positive methods of agriculture. So Pope Francis is calling new bold cultural revolution. You know, yesterday I taught you. So the golden age of food security is the part of new bold cultural revolution or green revolution or sustainable agriculture. We discussed about permaculture. Permaculture means permanent agriculture. As Jesus taught us, wheat and weeds. Then comes horticulture, that is cultivating gardens. Polyculture, that is the intercropping versus monocropping. And genetically modified food production, GM technology. And comes seed selection. Then comes aquaculture, fish, etc., etc. Then comes animal husbandry, because agrarian theology includes even fishing, even poultry, piggery, cow farms, and shepherding, pasturing, food gathering. Everything it includes. Everything it includes. Everybody is known as agriculturalist, farmer. Okay. You see, as I told you, before the start of agrarian theology, we need to set our goals on positive outcome, not on negative outcome. So our agrarian theology should be based on aram, righteousness, or ethics, bioethics. We should employ the culture of empathy. Without ethical note, agriculture can destroy the abiotic and the biotic parts of creation. So Pope Francis is writing in the paragraph number 105 of Laudato Si. Development has not been accompanied by a development in human responsibility, values, and conscience. We cannot claim to have a sound ethics. So we need to build agrarian theology piece by piece on environmental ethics. There is no other choice. And also Pope Francis is telling agricultural theology should be motivated towards the common good. Common good. What is common good? He writes as follows in the paragraph number 158 of Laudato Si. The sum of those conditions of social life which allow social groups and their individual members relatively thorough and ready access to their own fulfillment. In paragraph number 157, underlying the principle of the common good is respect for the human person as such, endowed with basic and inalienable rights, ordered to his or her integral development. The common good calls for social peace, the stability and security, distributive justice. Whenever this is violated, violence always ensures. Society as a whole defend and promote the common good. This option entails recognizing the implications of the universal destination of the world's goods. You must have seen the movie called Mother India. It's a Indian Hindi movie. It was made in 1954. So you should watch this movie if you want to understand the Indian lifestyle before independence. Our life was completely agrarian. India was an agrarian country. All of them were farmers. So that's why they could make such a beautiful movie. So today I recommend this movie. It's an old movie. The present generation may not like it, but I would recommend this movie for you to watch tonight or this week. Watch this movie with the English subtitles. You will understand how India developed such a craft beyond our imagination. They lived in harmony with the land. They did not exploit agriculture. Through their organic farming, they enhanced land, water, air, and other parts of life. India was great. And then another movie, Do Bigha Zameen. Do Bigha means 2 acres of land. Zameen. Zameen means land. 2 acres of land. It's a very beautiful movie, very sad. Both the movies are very sad. And they move your emotions. So this movie also you please watch maybe in a week time. You just trigger the subtitles. Without that you may not understand. If you know Hindi, you understand. And if you don't know Hindi, you better toggle the subtitles and you will understand. So without agrarian theology, the outcome was very negative in India. Look at that. Farmers' suicide in India. Started in 1995 and it went to peak in 2002. And again it went to peak 2009, 2012. I mean between 1995 to 2012, 3 lakh of farmers committed suicide in 18 years in India. 3 lakhs, not 30,000, 3 lakhs. Most of them from Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Andhra, Kerala, Tamil Nadu. From 2013 to 2020, another 1 lakh. So already 4 lakhs of farmers committed suicide. And yet we don't create agrarian theology. Yes, we still study only Mariology, Christology, ecclesiology, canon law. But you don't study this. This is what is happening in the seminaries. This is the most needed theology because you are directly in line with your people. Your people are farmers. Can't you understand that? They are not theologians. They are not philosophers. They are farmers who hurt every day. Every day they are in despair. They seek God's help. And the priest, they can't provide anything. They don't know anything to say to them. Because we are not taught in the seminaries. That's the reason why they committed suicide. If there was an agrarian theology in the first place, at least some 2 farmers, we could have persuaded them not to go for suicide. At least 2 farmers. You could not have saved all the 3 lakhs. At least 2 farmers, we could have saved them. That is possible. 2 souls we could have saved them. Can agrarian theology could have stopped industrial revolution? Green revolution? Yes, if they had created agrarian theology 2000 years ago, Pope would have been talking against industrial revolution in the last century, 1850. You would have told no industrial revolution because it's going to destroy soil, water, air. He would have given a big voice, but no voice was heard on the part of the church. Green Revolution in 1960s. If there was agrarian theology from the beginning, Pope would have talked no fertilizers, no pesticides, no fungicides, no. But what did Pope say during Green Revolution? Nothing. Deforestation we could have stopped. Chemical use, fertilizers, herbicide, we would have stopped their invasion. Genetically modified seeds and food, Pope would have said, no, don't tamper with them. Don't change their DNA. That is sin. We could have stopped soil erosion. We could have stopped industrial farming. We could have stopped loss of seeds. So without agrarian theology, agriculture became vulnerable under assault. See the new biological technologies Pope is writing in the paragraph number 130 to 136, chapter 3 of Laudato Si. That is the human root of our ecological crisis. That's the title of the 3rd chapter. So he's writing 130 to 136. Thank God he has written now. So agrarian theology is now available, at least in the theoretical level. It's available now. Thank God Pope Francis has written it in 2015. So it is up to theologians like you, youngsters, to read and to find out the text on agriculture and compare with the biblical text, and you find out what God is telling about agriculture and then make a theology out of it and teach and take it to the people. You can save some of the farmers, there is no doubt.